Hello, my beautiful Capricorn. We're going to do a quick and wonderful reading for you for the month of September 2022. An exciting time to start new things and new projects. I know I am. I know I haven't been great lately because I've had a crazy year of two major moves, one which was from one country to another, and another which was like a bad breakup with a bad boyfriend. So that was not fabulous. And had I listened to my card readings, it honestly never would have happened because I kind of ignored a bunch of stuff that was in there. Now, this is a very general reading, so I'll be giving options for lots of different people, because you might all be Capricorn, but that does not mean you're all exactly identical. Although, I will say this, like Aries, which is my sign, Capricorns also tend to have more traits like their sign. Like, you guys don't tend to be all over the map. Doesn't mean you don't have subtle differences, but you guys do have some very strong common threads. So let's look at this and see where we get for the next couple of weeks, the rest of the month. Ooh, we already start with 2 court cards. People. So when the card, 3 of them. So when the cards are people, they can be real people or they can be concepts, which makes a lot of people hate the court cards. 4 people. Holy, what the hell? I shuffled like you would not believe. That is pretty cool. 5 court cards in a row. You never see that. And there's a 6th. 7. Wow. Powerful reading, Capricorn. This is going to be cool. Okay. I don't think I've ever seen, have I seen that many court cards? All but 2 are court cards. That's a lot. That's probably as much as one can ever have. Okay, so usually I sort of dive into the bad first or whatever, but you don't really have any bad. Except for maybe this card, which is kind of, I'm always on the fence about this card. So I'm not even going to say it's bad. But what I am going to say is, okay, so you guys are Capricorns, and that is an earth sign. So Pentacles represent earth signs. You got 3 Pentacle cards here, and you've got 2, which are the King and the Queen. So this could be a married couple, and one of them could be you. This could be Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn, but I'm going to guess that typically one of these cards is going to represent you. Doesn't mean that you're married to another earth sign, but if you are, then this is going to be a very powerful reading that makes total sense. So the King of Pentacles, he's kind of a very accomplished person. Both the King and the Queen are good savers. They like to invest in things. It can be an investment in health by working out and eating well. And typically the Queen will be very interested in, making everybody in the home eat well and, or at least as well as that person knows how to eat, if you know what I mean. Like, everybody has different connotations of what eating well is. So, you might look at that person and go, oh, well, that's not really that healthy. But this person will tend to feed people the way they think is healthy. And the King, now, okay, gender isn't really a thing in the cards. Like, I know people nowadays are trying to say, oh, well, the traditional Rider-Waite is, it's a bunch of white people who are all, 2 different genders and whatever. But gender has never really been a thing in the cards because we all have male and female in us. We just do. That's a fact. And so however that asserts itself might have a bearing on how you are in life as to your role. So the Queen is more about the role of taking care of home and family. Does not mean she can't have a career. She can have a very happening career. But still, it would be very important to this person to also do the, family social calendar, to probably do more child care, to, be probably way more interested in the home front. Whereas the King is more of a trailblazer. Now, he's not in the stage of being a knight, which is all about conquering and doing all of that. But he might still have some of that going on, and he's very accomplished. So people might come to him as a mentor. People might come to him to ask advice on certain things. And when it comes to the King of Pentacles, the advice they're usually asking is about money or anything he's invested in over a course of time, property, or, anything that takes time to, I mean, it doesn't always take time. Sometimes things you can flip a property overnight, but I mean, typically those kinds of investments take a certain of time to come to fruition, and that is what the King of Pentacles is all about. They have staying power. They have patience. They're not expecting to get something overnight. They don't love huge risks. They might take some risks in buying stocks and bonds and things that maybe some people wouldn't buy, but they buy the ones that they are happy to wait it out. So bear that in mind as we talk about the King and Queen of Pentacles, because one of these might be you. And then I'm going to go right into the next Pentacles card, which is a fantastic card. So if this is, this is all about your goals, okay? You wanting to have this solid, secure home life, because you guys are earthy, you like tangible things. You're not kind of all over the map with, one day I'll do this, one day I'll do that. It's all very specific. And this is always your desire. Home, family. Not all of you. Not everybody wants a family when they're Capricorn. Trust me, I know a couple who don't. But security is the key. You don't want to be scrounging around for money. You don't want to have to worry about that. So you're willing to wait out everything. But this card does suggest that whomever gets it, is going to have, a lot of security as far as relationships also, like people around you, people and home life and a lot of good stuff, and you've acquired things and you don't have to worry about money. And it can also mean a card of inheritance on occasion. So hopefully nobody's about to die, but if they are, you might get an inheritance. This card is a card, if you know me, I bitch and moan constantly about this card because the meanings of the card are vague. It means some sort of deception, okay? But it can mean gossip. It can mean failed plans. It can mean an affair. The range of meanings of this card is so enormous, but it does mean some form of deception. The question is it a deception that matters, like somebody, your husband having an affair or your wife? That would matter. But if it means somebody gossiping, do you really care? Now, if you're Capricorn, you might actually care. I wouldn't care. But, you guys do care about reputations and things like that because they might affect your way you're perceived in the business world or way that you're perceived in the community or things that might be important to you. So just keep your eyes open. I mean, this card is so vague that I always say don't panic about it because it can mean theft. It can mean lots of things. If you live in a neighborhood where there's never been a break-in and suddenly there's a break-in, sometimes this card will pop up for people. But it's honestly, I get this card and I don't worry about it at all because it's just one of those cards where it's really hard to pin down exactly what it means unless you do have a specific you can just automatically latch onto. Oh yeah, somebody stole my thing, or somebody, my friend backstabbed me and talked behind my back or something like that. So if you have that going on and you can pinpoint it, great. But otherwise, I wouldn't worry about it. So then we have all these people, which some people hate these court cards. I kind of love them because I'm a people person. And also, it gives you a little detective work project. Like, okay, first of all, most people don't know everybody's sign, even in their inner circle necessarily. Unless you're into astrology, you're not running around asking everybody their sign. You might know your family's zodiac sign, but you probably don't know every friend of yours what their zodiac sign is. So it gives you a little bit of detective work. But there's some really cool stuff going on here. First of all, you've got the Page, the Knight, and the Queen of Wands. Now, I'm Aries. Wands tend to represent fire signs. So that's Leo, Aries, and Sagittarius. So these people are fiery. They tend to be very social. They like to put things into action. This guy is called the Fire Knight. So they like to entertain. They like to be social. They can go over the top a little. They can go over the top with everything. They like to take risks. So the only reason I'm saying this, I mean, like, if one of you Capricorn types has a girlfriend or boyfriend in this realm, you should definitely be aware of the differences because they are, I'm going to say, almost the polar opposite of Capricorn. The only thing you might have in common with these people is that they still care about home life and all of that, but in a very, very different way. They want their home life to include a lot of adventurous stuff, typically. So the Queen is very good at entertaining. This is kind of like the card that if I were to have a typical card represent me, I don't. I pick a different one in the deck that I got when I was a kid because my mom read tarot cards. But if I did have a typical one, this would be the one that would be representing of me. And I'm all about entertaining and socializing and, social butterfly, bringing people in, feeding them, giving them drinks, all that stuff. That's what I love to do. So a lot of Aries or Sagittarius or Leo people, which the wands represent, love that. Especially the one who takes care of the home and family and all that. They love to entertain. That's just part of the deal. The hostess with the mostess, or the host. The Page is a really exciting card because maybe not quite as exciting as the Knight, but still very, very exciting. It's a young person, a child, a teenager, or a young adult, under 25, okay, typically. And the Page is all about learning about enacting dreams and things that you want to do, fabulous goals without limit. These are the people who are going to be the movers and the shakers. And they're learning about how to enact their things that they want to do. So it's a very exciting card. It can mean that you know somebody like that. Maybe you have, if you're a Capricorn and you have an Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius child, I don't know how the hell you operate in life because these people never want to sleep. They are always doing things that are risky, and that is not really the same as what you guys necessarily love. And I bet you're tired all the time because they will suck every ounce of life out of you and then still have plenty of room to be running around the house at 4 a.m. So, if it's your child, I have nothing but sympathy for you because I was once that child. So it ain't easy to always live with fire signs. But there is a payoff because there's enthusiasm and there's, that ability to put things into action. You guys do that also on some level, but it's not so much active energy. It's more of a willingness to take action and then stand back and see how it builds. So if you were a person who has a child or an acquaintance, somebody you know who is a fire sign, that could probably be very good for you. Now, I say this having just broken up with a Capricorn, and it was the worst union of history, and no kidding. I mean, every belief system is the opposite, but that's not just because of astrological sign. That's also because of the way we were raised and whatever. I come from a more artistic background. He came from this very, I don't want to say working class, because he made it out all the time like he was super poor, but that was like complete BS. His family was absolutely fine, and they made huge money. So a perceived less intelligent sort of job. Although his mother worked in a bank. I mean, it wasn't like she worked in, it wasn't like she was doing manual labor or anything. His father did do manual labor, but he made amazing money. So but the whole like thought process of this guy compared to me was so different. Everything was so finite. Now you might not be like this, Capricorn, because not everybody is, but the person I'm talking about, his thought process was so set in stone. There was no room ever for anything outside of those ideas, which I discovered too late because, Aries are all about pushing every boundary you can. And so if you have a kid who's like that, they will push every boundary and every philosophy and everything you've ever held dear. Like, just cancel everything, or good luck trying to foist it on them, because they're rebellious people and they might listen when they're kids, but although I doubt it. And then they'll be teenagers, and God help you. So I don't know. That'll be another challenge when it happens, or maybe it's happening now for you, in which case I'm going to suggest a good stiff drink once in a while. So then we've got the Knight of Wands, the Fire Knight, one of the best cards in the deck. Well, one of the best cards in the deck when you're fire sign, but maybe when you're a Capricorn, you're like, oh, this insanity, this kooky guy with all his, energy and ridiculous ideas and whatever. But he does blaze trails. I mean, this is a person who doesn't have a lot of boundaries. This is a person who will put things into action, is very, very brave and strong, has ideas that will work a lot of the time. A lot of CEOs and, people who do things that are out of the ordinary and yet they work, that could be the Knight of Wands. So perhaps this is your son, brother, husband, best friend, whatever this person is. I'm going to say this is a positive person to have in your life. If you think they're too much of a risk taker, you might not be wrong. And nobody's going to argue that point with you. But it's still a very, very interesting person to have in your life. And the Page of Wands can also be coming in to bring a message of enacting things. I know that sounds a little weird, but it can mean that you should take more action, that you need to put something into action. You might need to learn to take more action instead of sitting on the back burner also. Sorry, my candles are getting to me a little bit. And the same with the Knight and the Queen. They're like fiery creatures who are coming in to say, okay, maybe that real estate investment that you want to do, I know it's not perfect, like it's not falling within all of your parameters, but it's close enough. Take that risk. Just do it. Just come on, do it. I don't think you're going to regret it in the long haul. And plus, I know you guys will do your work. You guys will check it out from here to eternity. You guys are the best planners who ever lived. I get Capricorns pop up in my spread, like not just because I was with one, and also I have a daughter who's a Capricorn, but because just like I'm telling you, fire signs will pop up to tell you to take more risks. Capricorns will pop up to tell me, plan. Stop trying to do things all, crazy with just, spontaneity is good, but you still have to temper it with some planning. So you see how the cards do that. They come up to remind us of things. They come up to enlighten us about different aspects of life that we have to do and not always do things our own little way and stay in our own little bubble, whatever it may be. So then you've got these two swords cards, and this is such a wonderful card, the Page of Swords. It's all about learning and gaining knowledge. People who are swords are air signs, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, but they don't like any BS, okay? They really, really don't. So just, if you know any of these people, don't even give them any, because it's not going to get anywhere. Trust me on that one. The Page of Swords is really interesting because he's all about learning. He's just like this guy is learning about putting everything into action that he wants to do. This guy is all about like just sucking in every bit of intellectual information on the planet and utilizing it to create his life. And that's a very, very exciting place to be. So this could be a person that, again, child, teenager, or young person. And if this is your child, this is a wonderful person to have if you want to do any kind of teaching of anybody, because they will just suck up every little bit of knowledge. Now, the thing about the swords cards, well, I'll get into the Queen first, and then I'll tell you the common denominator here. The Queen of Swords, again, she's like the Queen of Wands, runs a great home, is lots of fun to be around and all of that. The Queen of Swords also runs a great home and is very practical. So she will take care of practical matters. She won't be fiddling around with some crazy thing like the Queen of Wands might be, throwing herself into her own project and the hell with everything. The Queen of Swords is very, very practical. All the practical matters will be handled, and this chick can get the job done no matter what it is, okay? This is the person that I will always tell you, if you want to know what your outfit looks like, go to the Queen of Swords, because there is going to be no holding back. She will tell you the actual, if you're an overly sensitive person, don't ask these people any questions about anything that's an opinion, because you'll be destroyed, because they can be pretty cold-blooded when it comes to that kind of stuff. Like I say, no bullshit. They're not gonna sit there and, stroke your ego and make you feel better. They are sensitive. They can be very, very sensitive, but they're not sensitive like that. When it comes to something, like, let me give you an example in my own life. Like my daughter, when this relationship of mine was going terrible, and I would tell her things, and she would always be like, well, just move on, because there's no point. There's no point. He's, just a goofball, and there's no point. And, like, there's no question about these things for them. There's no, they don't get too tied up in the emotional aspects. It doesn't mean that they don't have emotions. It doesn't mean that they don't feel deeply. They do, but they're very good at, like, going, okay, that was then, this is now, and, I'm not going to ruin my life over sitting around crying about something. They're really good at not doing that, which is so interesting to me. So, this could be, if you are Capricorn with this person, that's kind of an interesting union, because you're both very practical. So, I mean, I can't imagine with these two levels of practicality coming together, you guys not having money and all your finances together in a very good way. And also, anything that needs to be dealt with being dealt with. Like, your kids might not always get to do something nutty and fun, but they'll always get to do something. You'll always have the money to make sure there's a roof over their head, and, all the things in place and all the normal stuff. That's one thing about these guys I found. They do, like, as much as they like to learn and do all these neat things that way, they do tend to be really, I know people hate the word normal nowadays, but really, like, I don't want to say mainstream, because I have two Libra daughters, and one of them's, I guess you could say, on some level mainstream, but she's also a lot of fun, and the other one is not at all what I would call mainstream. So there are subtleties within all the signs, as we all well know, but they are sort of more normal than some signs, like, say, mine. And maybe even yours, because you guys are so strict about some of your behaviors. Like, the planning part is really good, but you guys are, I don't know, what's the word? Kind of set in your ways sometimes about the way you go about things. Like, everything has to follow a program. Let's say that. Now, sometimes that's great. But sometimes you have to break out of that if you want to have a really great time. You just do. I mean, you can't be all work and no play, right? You can't. And function well. And also, Capricorns are really prone to depression. And so you really have to be careful of that. You guys have to be, like, having some mental freedom so that you don't fall into that. So I want you to have an amazing month. It looks like it's a month full of people. I don't know if these are employees of yours or people you work with, or you have a big family, or what's going on here, or you're just going to encounter a lot of people this month, maybe clients or new acquaintances. But when I see this many court cards or people cards, I find it really exciting. So I hope you feel the same way, and I hope it pans out that maybe you meet somebody fantastic, whether it's a business partnership or whether it's a boyfriend or a girlfriend or somebody to fall in love with and make all kinds of really great things happen. So you guys have a wonderful, amazing rest of the month, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.